In the twilight of the Cold War, the United States Navy faced a crisis of identity and design. The lessons of the past were colliding with the threats of the future. The Vietnam-era Spruance-class destroyers, while effective anti-submarine platforms, were critically underarmed for modern surface warfare. The Falklands War had sent a chilling shockwave through Western navies, demonstrating how a single, cheap anti-ship missile could cripple or sink a multi-million-dollar warship. Then in 1987, the USS Stark and Oliver Hazard Perry-class frigate was struck by 2 Exocet missiles, killing 37 sailors. The Stark survived, but the incident was a brutal confirmation of a terrifying reality. The fleet was vulnerable. This vulnerability was precisely what the Soviet Union was banking on. Their naval doctrine was built around the concept of the saturation attack, overwhelming a carrier group's defenses with a swarm of supersonic, intelligent anti-ship missiles. The mighty Ticonderoga-class cruisers, with their revolutionary Aegis combat system, were the designated shields of the fleet. But these powerful ships were incredibly expensive, complex, and too few in number to be everywhere. The Navy was facing the prospect of a hollow force, a fleet that looked powerful on paper, but was built with critical, potentially fatal vulnerabilities. The aluminum superstructures that made ships faster and lighter also melted and burned catastrophically. The reliance on specialized single-mission ships created gaps in the defensive line. A new kind of warship was needed. It couldn't just be a weapons platform. It had to be a survivor. It needed the lethality of a cruiser, the resilience of a battleship, and the versatility to fight and win alone if necessary. In the most hostile environments on Earth, the answer was forged in steel and named for a legend, the USS Arleigh Burke DDG-51. The lead ship of her class represented a radical departure from decades of naval design philosophy. Her motto, "Fast, Feared, and First," was a direct reflection of the man she was named after. The design team went back to fundamentals. Survivability was paramount. The ship's superstructure was made entirely of steel, not aluminum, to withstand and contain battle damage. Her vital electronic spaces were armored with Kevlar. Her unique angled design was not just for aesthetics. It was an early foray into reducing radar cross-section, making her stealthier than any previous destroyer. Her propulsion systems were hardened, and she was equipped with a collective protection system, allowing her to operate in a chemical, biological, or radiological environment, a sealed, pressurized citadel on the sea. But her true revolution lay in her heart and mind. The Arleigh Burke was equipped with the Aegis Combat System Baseline 4, integrating the powerful new SPY-1D phased array radar, a slightly smaller, but equally capable version of the system on the Ticonderoga cruisers. This radar could track over 100 targets simultaneously, from the wave tops to low orbit. This brain was connected to the brawn of 2 Mark 41 vertical launch systems, giving her a deep magazine of 90 cells. This destroyer, smaller and more affordable than a cruiser, could independently detect, track, and engage swarms of incoming threats with a blistering rate of fire, all while simultaneously hunting submarines and preparing to strike targets hundreds of miles inland. She was not just a new ship. She was a new standard. Commissioned on the 4th of July, 1991, with Admiral Burke himself in attendance, the USS Arleigh Burke immediately set a new benchmark for naval power. Her first deployment to the Adriatic and the Red Sea in 1993 was a declaration. The multi-mission destroyer had arrived, and it was ready for anything. But the proof of her design would be demonstrated not just by one ship, but by the dynasty she created, as dozens of her sister ships joined the fleet. The Arleigh Burke class became the ubiquitous symbol of American naval power. They became the weapon of choice for Tomahawk diplomacy. When a message needed to be sent, it was an Arleigh Burke class destroyer that delivered it with precision. But as the geopolitical landscape shifted, so did the mission. The class evolved. The Aegis system, designed to stop Soviet bombers, was brilliantly adapted into the world's premier sea-based ballistic missile defense (BMD) system. Ships like the USS John Paul Jones and USS Lake Erie became the frontline guardians against the threat of rogue state ballistic missiles, proving they could hit a metaphorical bullet with a bullet in the cold vacuum of space. Then came the ultimate test. From 2023 into 2024, in the confined, dangerous waters of the Red Sea, the theory of Aegis was put into brutal practice. Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, the USS Carney, the USS Gravely, the USS Laboon, the USS Mason, found themselves in the most intense naval combat the U.S. Navy had faced since World War II. Day after day, week after week, they faced down swarms of Houthi anti-ship ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and attack drones. Using their advanced sensors and firing a multi-layered defense of standard missiles, they did not just survive. They dominated. They protected themselves, their carrier groups, and international shipping with a 100% success rate. The vision of the original designers, a tough, resilient, multi-mission warship that could withstand a saturation attack, was being proven live for the entire world to see. The genius of the Arleigh Burke was not just in its initial design, but in its capacity for evolution. The class has been built in a series of flights. The original Flight I ships were the pioneers. Flight 2 introduced upgraded electronics. Flight Types UA, the longest production run, dramatically expanded the ship's capabilities by adding a full helicopter hangar, allowing 2 Seahawk helicopters to be embarked, and increasing the VLS capacity to 96 cells. This transformed the ship into an even more potent anti-submarine and anti-surface platform, and the evolution continues. The brand new Flight 3 destroyers, like the USS Jack H. Lucas, represent another leap forward. They are equipped with the new AN/SPY-6 radar, a system so powerful and sensitive, it can detect targets half the size at twice the distance of its predecessors. This ensures that the Arleigh Burke class, a design conceived in the 1980s, will remain the world's most capable surface combatant for decades to come. With over 70 ships built and more under construction, this class is not just a part of the U.S. Navy. It is its heart, its backbone, and its fists. The USS Arleigh Burke and the dynasty she forged represent the pinnacle of naval engineering and strategic foresight. She was the answer to a crisis, a return to the first principles of survivability, and a leap into a digital future. She set the standard for what a modern destroyer should be: powerful, resilient, versatile, and enduring. Her legacy is written in the steel of every one of her sister ships, in the peace they have maintained, and in the battles they have won. It is the living legacy of Admiral Arleigh Burke's demand for excellence, embodied in a class of ship that is, and will remain, fast, feared,